Clover, a show I mostly keep up with because if I didn't, every 10 to 12 weeks, I'd notice how popular it remains, check out what I've missed, and then be left with disappointment. So to save myself from my petty nonsense, I simply subject myself to 22 minutes of lacklusterness a week. Smart decision making, I know. And again, as always in these situations, if Black Clover is your jam, it's totally fine. I have my simple popcorn entertainment that I like. You've got yours. It's totally okay. It's just that for me, I feel Black Clover is a letdown in character, in story, and animation. So yeah, there's not a lot in this show for me besides just shonen-ness. So, needless to say, I was pretty shocked when I realized one of my favorite anime viewing experiences of the year came from a Black Clover filler arc. I know, it's pretty crazy, isn't it? We're living in strange times, and we're going to talk about that today because I feel like more people should be talking about this arc, and they're not, and it kind of annoys me. Because I want Studio Pierrot to do this with Black Clover, not what they're usually doing. So yeah, we're going to talk about this arc. We're going to talk about why it's good, what it does, spoilers obviously. So yeah, let's just get right on into it. First up, we need to talk about the setup for the arc. This arc seamlessly picks up from the previous one. The previous arc being the big, overly long, not nearly as epic as it thought it was, elf invasion arc, which ended with the Clover Kingdom in ruins. Now, this is obviously very common in big everythings, so why should we all of a sudden feel any different towards it? Well, because this one does what a lot of these things don't really do, and that's that we then get everything's perspective from the everyman, the just kind of normal people in this world. The arc even sets things up by saying, like, we're not going to be following the Magic Knights or the Royals, but we're also not following someone like Asta. We're following just the average everyday people who have to live in this world and who now have to live with this level of destruction. They've seen their homes destroyed. They've lost family members. And the Clover Kingdom's response is just kind of, we're doing what we can. When will we get to you? We don't fucking know. It also doesn't help that it's pretty much established in this world nobody likes the king or trusts the government. So yeah, there seems to be some real world influence going on here. So yeah, so then moving on to things, we already have this great setting set up, but what really sells this arc is its antagonists. The devil Banishers and then devil believers. A group of people who want to do nefarious stuff. Or do they? For that, we need to look at who our main sort of ringleader of this group is. A woman who is not presented to us as evil or really even wanting revenge. Our first scene of this woman is that she's an abused housewife who is treated like shit, whose only real solace seems to be in her growing romance with the local frickin' pharmacist. Yeah, that is what we are now following. This is such a fucking smart idea. Instead of following some big evil cult leader or a dumb demon, it's just a woman who is in a very bad spot in life. You're instantly sympathetic for her, maybe you can relate to her on some level, and importantly, if you want to infer further, you can then understand why she comes to the conclusion she does, why she maybe goes to the dark places she's willing to go. And I think that's a really smart, clever way, and the show never beats you over the head with anything or spoon-feeds you anything. It treats this very maturely, and considering anime's not always good at understanding the complexities of relationship abuse, this is really fucking good and refreshing to watch. So then you have the next factor going on here, and that's that we then get sort of the effects of some of the more plot convenience things they do in this show. Asta gets blamed for the demon attack. Why? Because the really boring justice-seeking character wants to blame Asta for it. So what then happens? These people who are suffering and angry and afraid for their lives begin to start blaming Asta. They pick him and a small group of people, in this case the the people who were the elves, and are just like, it's all your fault, you did this, you caused this, we're gonna do something about you. So they remind you of a lot of people and groups. I'm not trying to get political or anything, but there's clearly a real world influence being brought in here that really doesn't get done correctly enough, or done with this level of respect and understanding of what pushes people to go to extreme conclusions. So, then you have it that the Devil Banishers, they are like, well, we're going to get revenge. So, they of course do the easy thing to get you to view them as antagonists, and they kidnap Ghosh's little sister, and they also kidnap Nero, and they attempt to kidnap Asta, but this doesn't work because Asta's obviously got to go in and save the day. But what's sort of interesting about Asta going in and saving the day here is it's not the normal way Asta can do things. First up, I really love the way that conflicts are handled in this arc. It's not just, I'm going to swing my sword because you're a big magic thing. These people don't have a lot of magic, so how the show shows them off as being threatening has to be different from what we've seen so far. So instead of, brah, I'm a big monster, it's, I have pharmaceutical tools that I can use to disorientate or knock people unconscious. Another guy has mild invisibility, so he can do that. Our main character can share magic, so there's that. All these little factors that have to be meticulously put together and written in a correct, intelligent way for us to understand why we should care. The time to do that has been put into this. Again, into Black Clover! So yeah, so then Nero and the sister are kidnapped. And what's sort of interesting is the next batch of scenes are not really based around, we gotta go save the day. It's based on everyone in their own way realizing what is actually motivating these people. Asta realizes very quickly, I can't just hit these people with my sword and hope it'll be okay. There is a very real acknowledging of everybody that we're part of the problem. We are part of the blame here. Like that idea that our battles and the destruction we are a part of has an effect on people. That is something they are all seeing, and it's really interesting to watch. And it's not just big speeches, it's a lot of subtle stuff. Like Captain Yami simply just gesturing, let's not get involved, to some people being like, well, can I make this better? Well, we don't want you around. This is all very intelligent, and a lot of interesting stuff is then going on while this is happening. You then get the most fucked up bit, and that's when they're going to hold this public execution, and like 2 people kill themselves. Holy shit! That was great. Also, I really love the fact that one thing Black Clover does that really irritates me is every character has one personality trait, and they just shove it down your throat over and over again. Yeah, they don't do that here. If there's 1 or 2 moments of it, it's just to remind you of who people is, but for the most part, everyone is focused, and everyone's seriousness really implies to you that this is a serious situation. So then it turns out they're the devil believers, and they actually want to use the power of Asta's book, The Grimoire, themselves, and my heart fucking sinks. I'm like, oh no, they're gonna screw this up. They're just gonna be evil. They're just gonna be lunatics who want power. So it's like, no, that's not what's happening here. These are people who feel so desperate, so weakened, and so downtrodden that they don't see any other way but to turn to dangerous long shots, to have to rely on this just to get somewhere. And what I like is the next part of this is you just see how many people, you see hundreds of people join their cause, and they're willing to cross into what's it called, the Spade Kingdom, over this like very dangerous magical land just for a little something, just to improve their lives just a little bit. They're just so desperate that they're willing to believe in just anything. And it's really fucking good. It's a really relatable, understandable situation. Yeah, maybe so many people getting involved might be a little ridiculous, but they do a good job of then showing it being like, we can't just simply hit them. We can't just simply hit this many people. Just like you can't simply throw problems under the rug. You have to eventually address it and deal with it. And that's the resolution of this arc. And that is, there is no clean-cut resolution. Like, the captains who we know are good, it's none of the douchebag ones. The good captains show up and it's just like, we'll try harder, we'll try and fix the kingdom, we want to make things better. They try to relate to the people and get onto them on a personal level. And as we've kind of been seeing lately, there's a very strong desire for that in the real world, which again, this is clearly trying to reflect a lot of what's going on in the world around them and the social failings of government and the desperation of people in need. And I think it's really intelligently handled because if you notice, everyone's not being like, well, okay, fine, we're happy, we're going to put total faith in you, it'll be fine, la-di-da. They're basically just saying, well, it's our best option. So we'll believe you guys for a little while longer. And then the captains aren't really 100% certain what to do after this. They're like, we'll figure something out hopefully soon. And that's a very smart resolution. And what happens to our antagonist? This woman who has gone through so much pain and so much hardship, who we've kind of been made to feel related to, she's just kind of like, I can't go back. There's this feeling of like, there's just no turning back for her, and her and a small group are willing to risk it all. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I believe it. I understand this. I get why she's doing this. There are no easy solutions to anything in the real world, and this arc attempts to reflect this. And it's done very well and maturely. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's the one who praises fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! But I really think there was care and effort put into this arc to sort of maybe not necessarily be a big, like, social political commentary, but to do what art is supposed to do, and that's take the real world and kind of present it to us with some different aspects to it. And I think that was done very well here, and I want more people to talk about it and be interested in it, because I want Black Clover to do more of this, not whatever it's currently doing. So yeah, in the comment section below, give me your thoughts on this arc, on Black Clover in general. Again, if it's the weekly show you just like and it's fun and you enjoy it, I totally get that. It's totally fine. Just for me, this has been a show that finally got good, and I'm gonna hold on to that getting good and hope it can one day get there again. So spread the word, and as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me for some more anime talk, because there's still a few more videos I want to get out for the end of the year.